With the blog, what we see is that a lot of the discussion is very high level, top of funnel, long term kind of thought leadership stuff. And that's generally something that you want to prioritize as your company gets larger. When you're smaller, you're more in startup phase, you need to focus on things that are more bottom of funnel. So bottom of funnel stuff is more like, here's how we're going to help you make a purchase decision, or here's how we solve this problem that you want to solve in the next month, instead of here are some visionary projections in terms of what's going to happen in the future. So we see this reflected literally in the fact that they have this categorization, thought leadership, omni-channel versus multi-channel. We have things like statistics, the state of the e-commerce fashion industry. So this is kind of similar to top of funnel content that we see with survey reports. We see visionary stuff of what is the future of e-commerce, as well as some how-tos and a little more tactical stuff. We have some major categories where they're clustering the blog posts into sections so that it's not overwhelming and it's more digestible and more navigatable. So we have multi-channel, analytics, global e-commerce, case studies, shipping, and automation. Something else I want to point out, and I've touched on this a bit earlier in this section, is the fact that they have these technical short videos. And the reason I really want to call this out is because all too often marketers get in their heads that they need to be talking about benefits, in particular high-level benefits. But here we have just very technical, detailed features, use cases that say, here's how you can build this. Here's how this workflow operates. It's the kind of thing that people want to see. They want to be able to see, how exactly am I going to execute on this use case? Can Shopify actually do literally what I want to achieve? And nowhere is that going to be more true than when you're marketing to somebody like a CTO. And when you're doing business-to-business marketing, in particular when you're doing account-based marketing, you need to think in terms of buying committees. And buying committees are no doubt going to have some sort of technical audience, whether it's an engineer or somebody managing engineers or a product manager. They want to see these details. You cannot let yourself off the hook by just focusing on high-level conceptual stuff. Now, maybe you can get away with that when you're selling to a CEO who doesn't have the time to look at these details, but you're not going to get away with it when you're trying to talk to a CTO. Okay, so in the space of thought leadership, one thing that happens as you start to think in terms of big league content marketing, we're getting bigger, our brand needs to be bigger, we really want to explode. You're thinking in terms of owned assets. And owned assets are not just brands, they're also things like events and big reports. So for example, with Salesforce, they have one of the biggest tech events of the year. And it's one of the keys to their entire success as a company has been this annual event that they have. If you read the book that the CEO and founder of Salesforce has done, is they've created this entire marketing system around this big event that they host, and it puts Salesforce as the leader in that technology space. Now we see this done on a more micro level, where it's not an event, but it's a piece of thought leadership called the future of e-commerce, something branded here as Shopify Plus. It's Shopify Plus annual report on global e-commerce trends. So Shopify Plus wants to be seen as on the forefront, on the bleeding edge, as the brand that you trust to get you not just what you want, but also to anticipate what your needs are to bring you into the future. And you can see that they've actually created an entire sub-brand within a sub-brand. So Shopify Plus is a sub-brand of Shopify, but then we also have this separate branding with different color codes for the future of e-commerce. So they're really trying to create this as an owned asset. And that's something you could consider when you're investing in content marketing is, can we create a brand around a central pivotal piece of thought leadership. And that can be a future-oriented thing that says, hey, you know what, we are the trusted resource. We're predicting the future. We're not just trend followers, we're trend setters, and we're analyzing what those future trends are. Another thing they're doing is they're also providing content for existing customers to help secure that customer captivity, build that relationship, deepen it. And in the software space, that's very much where the industry is going. It's much more oriented towards retention, customer retention, rather than just acquisition. So we see that in marketing too, that a lot of the content marketing is not just about acquisition anymore. It's not just demand generation. There's a much broader branding impact, a much broader retention impact, things that are not just measured in terms of new customers acquired. And we see this with the Shopify Plus Academy. Deeper learning, faster growth, grow your business with free online business trading from leading e-commerce experts. So they're creating tons of educational content to help deepen the relationship and make sure that their customers are successful. Another thing I would like to call out is that Shopify Plus embeds case studies all throughout their entire website, which is excellent best practice. So increasingly, as you're going through the site, you're going to see testimonials to proof points. So they're going to talk about technical things, they're going to talk about benefits, and then they're going to use as testimonials and case studies to prove that they can deliver on that. And then they'll also have separate categorization explicitly for case studies. And here's just an example. Snug increased its revenue 10x after migration. What I love about this headline is that it's showing a specific quantifiable transformation that's happened. And often what you're doing with content marketing is you're selling a transformation. You're showing how this company went from A to B. So went from whatever its revenue was to 10x after the migration. And what they're doing is they're positioning the offer, the migration, which is the end result that they want from their website. They want people to migrate from their legacy software to this software. And a case study is one of the best ways to do that. And we can see with the Harvard Business Review article that indeed the best form of content marketing in general is case studies.